Rain drizzled over the night market, tapping gently against colorful umbrellas. Street vendors shouted prices. Sizzling oil filled the air with the smell of fried noodles and peppered chicken. Audrey stood in line, hugging her thin jacket around her. She had just finished a double shift, her feet sore, her eyes tired. Her short afro was damp from the rain, but she didn't care. This stall had the cheapest bowl of noodles in the whole district. Someone stepped into the line beside her. A man in a plain gray hoodie, jeans slightly worn, sneakers soaked from the rain. He held a broken umbrella, half of the rods bent outward like an awkward metal skeleton. Water dripped off the corner onto his sleeve, but he didn't flinch. He noticed Audrey staring and gave a small, shy smile. "Umbrella's having a bad day," he said quietly. Audrey huffed a laugh. "Looks like it lost a fight with the wind." Their turn came. The vendor counted the money in Audrey's palm, then frowned. "You're short." Price went up. Audrey's stomach dropped. She sighed. "Maybe just a small portion then." Before she could walk away, the man in the hoodie slid a few bills across the counter. "Full portion." "For both of us," she blinked. "You don't have to." "I know," he shrugged. "But you look like someone who hasn't eaten all day." Audrey hesitated, then accepted the steaming bowl. Their fingers brushed just as she wanted to carry the steaming bowl. She stared at him. "Thank you." He smiled softly, rain dripping down his jaw. "Don't thank me, dear. I'd like to sit with you, if that's okay." They carried their bowls to a small plastic table tucked beneath a bright red umbrella. Rain dripped from the edges in steady streams, trapping them in a tiny world of sizzling oil and neon reflections. Audrey blew gently on her noodles before taking a careful bite. Warmth spread through her chest. The broth, the spice, the simple kindness. The man watched her, elbows resting on the table, fingers absorbing the heat from his bowl. "You eat like you haven't had a real meal in days," he said softly. She froze. He wasn't judging. He was observing. "I work a lot," she answered, "and soul is expensive." He nodded as if he knew that too well. A gust of cold wind rushed through the stall, and Audrey shivered. Without a word, the man tugged off his hoodie and placed it on her shoulders. She startled. "Wait, you'll be freezing." "It's okay," he murmured. "I'm used to cold." She slipped her arms into the sleeves, warmth hugging her immediately. The hoodie smelled faintly of soap and rain. He wasn't showing off. He simply noticed and acted. People rarely noticed her. A drunk businessman stumbled past, brushing Audrey's table. Without thinking, the man placed an arm in front of her protectively, shielding her bowl. Audrey stared at him. "You don't even know me." He held her gaze, brown eyes steady and unreadable. "I know what loneliness looks like." She swallowed hard, suddenly wishing she could hide inside his hoodie forever. "What's your name?" she whispered. He hesitated just for a breath. "Taymen." She repeated it quietly, like a secret. "Taymen." He looked away quickly. Almost like hearing his own name from her lips scared him. Through the rain, someone across the market watched them. A woman in a black luxury car, eyes sharp, lips tight. But Audrey and Taymen didn't notice. They were too busy feeling seen. The night market began to thin as the rain grew heavier. Vendors packed up, plastic sheets flapping in the wind. Audrey and Taymen stepped out from under the umbrella, holding the empty bowls. Audrey pulled the hoodie tighter around her. "I should give this back," she said. Taymen shook his head. "Keep it for tonight. You need it more." They walked side by side down a narrow alley glowing with neon reflections. Audrey tried not to stare at him. The quiet way he walked, the careful way he kept distance so she wouldn't feel crowded, yet somehow close enough for her to feel safe. A loud crash echoed from behind a dumpster. Audrey jumped. Two young men stepped out, clothes dark, faces rough, alcohol heavy in the air. They blocked the narrow alley. One of them grinned lazily. "Hey, foreign girl, we were talking to you." Audrey froze, pulse thundering. Taymen stepped in front of her instantly. "We're leaving." The other guy scoffed. "Relax, we just want to talk." He reached for Audrey's arm. Taymen caught his wrist midair. The alley lights flickered, reflecting off the rain dripping from Taymen's hair. His expression didn't change, It was calm, unreadable, but something in his eyes turned cold. "Don't touch her." The man laughed, trying to yank free. He couldn't. Taman didn't shove him. He simply released the wrist and stepped closer, voice steady. "Walk away." Something in his tone made both men hesitate. The first guy muttered under his breath, backing off. The second spat on the ground and glared at Audrey. "Stay away from strangers next time." They disappeared back into the darkness. Audrey swallowed hard. "Taman, that could have gone bad." "It didn't." "But—" He turned toward her, rain streaking down his face. For the first time, she noticed how his hands shook, not from fear, but from holding everything together. They kept walking until they reached a bus stop. Audrey pushed damp curls off her forehead. "You didn't have to protect me." He glanced down at his shoes. "I didn't protect you. I just didn't want you to be scared." Audrey's throat tightened. "Most people don't care. I care." The bus lights appeared at the end of the road, glowing through the rain. Audrey turned toward him, wanting to ask something. "How about you? Where do you live?" He hesitated. "I'm between places. Between places. Not homeless, but nowhere to go." The bus slowed to a stop, but Audrey didn't move. "Taman," he looked at her. "You don't have to be alone tonight. My apartment is small, but you can stay until the rain stops." Shock flickered across his face. Not entitlement, not victory, just disbelief. "No, I can't," her voice softened. "You helped me. Let me help you back." Rain slid down the glass of the bus shelter, blurring the world outside them. Taman exhaled slowly. "Okay." They stepped onto the bus together. Neither of them saw the black luxury car pull out from across the street, or the woman gripping her steering wheel, eyes locked on Taman, her voice shaking with fury. "So that's where you ran off to," the woman muttered. Audrey unlocked her small apartment and pushed the door open. Warm light filled the tiny space. Bed, single table, 2 old chairs. Nothing fancy. Taman stepped inside slowly, like he was afraid to touch anything. "You can sit," Audrey said, kicking off her shoes. He stood awkwardly near the wall. "You don't sit in people's houses," she teased. He finally sat, hands folded tightly. Audrey opened her fridge. Half a bottle of water, leftover rice, 1 egg. Embarrassing. "This is all I have," Taman spoke gently. "You shared what you had." "That matters." She fried the rice and placed 2 bowls on the table. Taman ate in silence, like someone who had learned to be grateful for every grain. When they finished, Audrey handed him a towel and pointed to the bathroom. "You can shower. I'll get you clothes." He paused, his voice lowered. "You trust me this easily?" "I don't trust easily," she answered, "but my heart isn't scared of you." Taman looked away as if no one had ever said something like that to him. He showered quickly, and when he came out wearing one of her oversized t-shirts, Audrey almost choked on her own breath. He sat on the edge of the couch. "I'll sleep here." "The couch is tiny," she said. "I've slept in worse places," he said. She handed him a blanket. He took it without meeting her eyes. "Taman, where were you staying before tonight?" He hesitated. "Too long." "A storage room at a construction site." Audrey's chest tightened. "The owner doesn't know. I just needed somewhere to stay." So that was it. Not a player and not mysterious on purpose. Just a man surviving. She sat beside him, close enough to feel his warmth. "You don't have to struggle alone," she whispered, his hands clenched around the blanket. "People leave when they know the truth." "What truth?" He opened his mouth, but before he could answer, Audrey's phone buzzed on the table. Message from her sister. "Where are you? Don't be late for the presentation tomorrow. Don't embarrass the family again." Audrey's eyes dimmed. Taman caught the expression. "Your family or talks to you like that. They tolerate me, that's all." The room fell silent. Then Taman spoke, almost to himself. "I know what it feels like, to be unwanted in your own blood." Audrey stared. He still wasn't looking at her, but his next words were quiet and raw. "My family's powerful, rich and cold. I left because I'd rather be invisible than controlled." Audrey's heart dropped. Powerful and rich. That didn't match anything she had seen tonight. She leaned closer. Tae-min, who exactly are you? For the first time, fear flickered in his eyes. He hesitated. Then Audrey leaned against the door, exhausted. Are you ashamed of them? He shook his head hard. No, I just don't belong in the life I came from anymore. He looked away, jaw tight. Your turn. Why do you work so much? How about your family? Her eyes lowered. I left them. They wanted me to marry someone rich and perfect. When I refused, they cut me off. No support, no calls, nothing. She laughed dryly. I choose my dignity. Even if it means eating noodles every night, Taemin looked at her like she had just revealed a hidden galaxy. You're stronger than you think, he whispered. Audrey swallowed the lump in her throat. Tomorrow I have to attend a family event at the Grand Conrad Hotel. They want to present me to some business partners. Her voice wavered. I'm terrified. Taemin didn't hesitate. I'll go with you. The Grand Conrad Hotel gleamed like polished gold. Crystal chandelier, marble floors, people dressed in wealth. Audrey stood at the entrance in her simple dress, hands trembling. Beside her, Taemin straightened the collar of his plain shirt. No suit and no tie, just quiet confidence. Ready? He asked. No, she whispered. But she walked in anyway. Heads turned instantly. Whispers trailed them like perfume. Who's the girl with the cheap dress? Why is she here? Audrey spotted her family across the ballroom, her mother, her father, and her older sister, Victoria, wearing diamonds that probably cost more than Audrey's entire rent for a year. Victoria's eyes narrowed when she saw Taemin. You brought a date? Her voice sliced the air. Audrey swallowed. Yes. Her mother looked Taemin up and down, eyes stopping on his worn shoes. Is he a staff? She asked, loud enough for surrounding tables to hear. Laughter erupted. Heat rushed to Audrey's cheeks. Taemin stepped forward, calm but firm. No, I'm with her. Victoria smirked. You don't look like someone who belongs here. Audrey grabbed Taemin's hand, voice steady despite the tremble in her chest. He belongs anywhere I stand. A hush. For the first time in years, Audrey didn't shrink. She fought back. Taemin squeezed her hand gently, pride flickering in his eyes. He leaned closer and whispered, Let them stare. Audrey stood under the bright lights, gripping the microphone. My proposal focuses on... Her aunt interrupted loudly from the front row. She can't even speak properly. Soft laughter filled the room. Audrey tried again. This project will... Her cousin scoffed. This is embarrassing. Mom said she married a man from the slums. Now I believe it. Her mother gave a stiff smile to the investors, whispering, She wasn't raised like this. She's just... nervous. The whispers grew like poison spreading. On stage, Audrey's voice cracked. Our innovation. A chair scraped sharply. Taemin stood. He climbed the stage, shielding Audrey with his body. That's enough, he said, voice steady. None of you deserve her. The audience burst into laughter. The lead investor snorted. Is that the husband? The noodle stall boy. Her uncle smirked. Security, remove him before he embarrasses us further. Security began moving toward the stage. Then, a microphone clicked. The event host rushed forward, pale and shaking. Wait, don't touch him. Confusion swept the room. Ladies and gentlemen, the host announced, voice cracking, our keynote investor, the owner of Han Group International. The host swallowed hard. Is the man currently standing on stage? Gasps. Security froze mid-step. Spotlights swiveled to Taemin. Audrey stared at him, breathless. Taemin squeezed her hand. I never hid who I am, he whispered. I just wanted someone who saw me. Silence filled the entire room. Audrey's family stared at Taemin as if their lungs forgot how to breathe. Her aunt was the first to speak. Wait. This must be a mistake. The investor is supposed to be Mr. Han Taemin, turned slightly, eyes sharp. That's my legal name, Han Taemin. Her uncle stumbled backward, nearly tripping over a chair. Investors shifted uncomfortably, suddenly unsure of where to look. The same security guards who tried to drag him off stage bowed instead. Sir, we apologize. Taemin ignored them. He faced Audrey fully, still holding her hand. You don't need their approval. You never did, the audience murmured, shocked at the tenderness in his voice. Audrey's mother suddenly stood, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Taemin, sweetheart, you should have told us. He cut her off with a calm but deadly tone. You mocked her, laughed at her. You didn't need to know who I was to show decency. Her father cleared his throat, voice trembling. We didn't mean to. You did, Audrey finally spoke. For years. Her voice was steady, not angry. Investors began applauding. Real applause, not pity. One of them stood. I'll sign the deal with her, not the family. Cameras flashed. Reporters leaned forward. In that moment, Audrey wasn't the black sheep anymore. She was the storm, and standing beside her was the man everyone underestimated until now. He leaned in, whispering against her ear, "From now on, you never stand alone." The event ended in chaos, reporters swarming, investors chasing them, Audrey's family scrambling to salvage their image. But Taemin didn't let go of her hand, not for a second. He guided her through a back corridor of the hotel straight to the rooftop quiet terrace, overlooking the Seoul skyline. Night wind brushed against their faces, cold and clean. Audrey finally exhaled everything she had been holding in. I can't believe that happened, she whispered. Taemin turned to her. I'm sorry you were humiliated because of me. She shook her head. No, I was humiliated because they never believed in me. You just showed them I didn't need them to. For a moment, neither spoke. The city lights reflected in his eyes. Why didn't you tell me who you were? She asked. He swallowed. Because when you looked at me that first night at the noodle stall, you didn't see money. You just saw me, she softened. And now everyone knows. I don't care, he said, stepping closer. Let them know I chose you before I ever knew your last name. Below, the rooftop door burst open. Audrey's mother and father hurried out, breathless, apologizing, begging for a second chance, not as parents, but as business partners. Audrey stood firm. I'm not your asset, she said quietly. I'm your daughter, and I choose my own life. She turned to Taemin. He extended his hand, not demanding, simply offering. Come with me, Audrey. She took his hand without hesitation, and together, hand in hand, hearts steady, they walked away from everything that once defined them. Not a princess rescued by a rich man, but two people who finally chose each other. The moral lesson of this story is that true worth isn't measured by wealth or appearance, so never let others define your worth because kindness reveals identity more than status ever will.